Morning learners, welcome to Computer System Servicing Grade 11 and C2. Today, we are already on Module 12 of the Quarter 3, which focuses on managing waste from electrical equipment. After completing this lesson, you should be able to: Number 1. Identify the waste from electrical and electronic equipment. 2. Explain the waste from electrical and electronic equipment. And Number 3. Appreciate the importance of managing the waste from electrical and electronic equipment. To start our lesson, let's have first our pretest. All you have to do is read its statement below carefully. Write T if the statement is true. Write F if the statement is false. I'll be giving you 5 seconds to think of your answer. Question number 1. Hazardous waste are substances that are without any such commercial, industrial, agricultural, or economic usage and are shipped, transported, or bought from the country of origin for dumping or disposal into or in transit through any part of the territory of the Philippines. Answer is T or true. Number 2. As technology for commercial, industrial, household, and appliances are evolving rapidly on a global scale, the amount of this electrical and electronic equipment and hazardous substance generated from the source materials involved in manufacturing and usage are increasing. Answer is T, or true. Question number 3. Because of the rising market penetration in developing countries, replacement market in developed countries, and high obsolescence rate, WEEE is one of the fastest streams in the world. Answer is F or false. Question number 4. WEEE treatment should prevent the dispersion of contaminants, including sanitary landfills, in the waste stream. Lead is the leading toxic factor of the substances coming from WEEE in terms of quantity and toxicity level. Answer is T or true. And last question number 5. In accordance with DAO 2013-25, no hazardous waste from the components of WEEE shall be stored, recycled, reprocessed, treated, and disposed of in facilities other than those facilities permitted by DNR. The answer is F or false. Before we proceed with our topic, let's have first a recap of our past discussions. In the previous module, you have learned about the 3R's hierarchy and importance of 3R's environmental policies. Those 3R's are reduce, reuse, and recycle. The best way to have a positive effect on our world is by these three. It is necessary to put this into effect because landfill space is running out rapidly. Plastic waste is growing in our oceans, and our climate is degrading at a faster rate. You are made aware that the 3R's are also referred to as the concept of reducing waste, reusing, and recycling resources and goods. Reducing means choosing to use items with care to minimize the amount of waste generated. Reuse includes regular use of objects or parts of items that still have components that are available. Recycling involves using waste as a resource itself. Waste minimization can be accomplished efficiently by concentrating mainly on reduce, followed by reuse, and then recycle. The first of the three R's, this module tackles about managing waste electrical and electronic equipment in the Philippines. Waste electrical and electronic equipment. Include all waste electrical and electronic products containing hazardous materials, components including peripherals such as lead, cadmium, mercury, hexavalent chromium, polybrominated biphenyls, and fluorinated diphenyl ethers, ink cartridge tuners, and others. Hazardous waste. Substances that are without any such commercial, industrial, agricultural, or economic usage and are shipped, transported, or bought from the country of origin for dumping or disposal into or in transit through any part of the territory of the Philippines. Guidelines on the environmentally sound management or ESM of waste electronic equipment. The Philippines is a typical importer and exporter of both new and used electrical and electronic equipment, including scrap materials. As technology for commercial, industrial, household, and appliances are evolving rapidly on a global scale, the amount of waste electric and electronic equipment and hazardous substances generated from the source materials involved in manufacturing and usage are increasing. The DNR, or the Department of Environmental and Natural Resources, has established the ESM guidelines of WEEE in recognition of the impact of these products, in part or in full, on human health and the environment. This guideline covers the TVL, both brand new and second-hand, including their scrap, are listed in Table 1 below. The types of WEEE are lighting products, information technology equipment and devices, telecommunication devices, electrical appliances, entertainment and recreational devices, and image producing devices. WEE treatment should prevent the dispersion of contaminants, including sanitary landfills, in the waste stream. Lead is the leading toxic factor of the substances coming from WEE in terms of quantity and toxicity level. Mercury, cadmium, and hexavalent chromium are also radioactive leaching compounds. Treatment, storage, and disposal, or TSD facilities. In accordance with DAO 2013-22, no hazardous waste from the components of WEEE shall be stored, recycled, reprocessed, treated, and disposed of in facilities other than those facilities permitted by DNR in the Philippines. Facilities must comply with the relevant requirements for the TSD facilities embodied in DAO 2013-22. Additionally, the following precautionary measures must be in place. These facilities are as follows: storage areas, impermeable surface for suitable areas with adequate spillage storage facilities, and decanters and degreasers as appropriate. Treatment areas, impermeable surfaces with corresponding spill recovery facilities and decanters and degreasers, if applicable. Sufficient storage for spare parts disassembled. Weatherproof covering. Weatherproof covering must be provided, but to reproduce or reduce the contamination of clean surfaces and the reuse of all appliances and materials intended for reuse is encouraged. Therefore, those storing and handling hazardous or fluid containing WEEE for entire equipment or parts intended for reuse may be included in the areas that are likely to need weatherproof covering. Impermeable surfaces. To prevent liquids from being transferred beyond the pavement surface, a sealed drainage system should be associated with the impermeable surface and may be needed even where weatherproof covering is used. Spillage collection areas. The primary means of containment are the impermeable pavement and the enclosed drainage system for spillage storage facilities. Spill kits can, however, be given and used as necessary to deal with spills of oils, gasoline, and acids. Equipment for the treatment of water. In compliance with legislation on health and the environment, operators have to mitigate the pollution of drinking water. Treatment facilities should take sufficient measures. Storage for disassembled parts. The storage of disassembled parts from WEEE must be given by establishment. Some sections which contains oil and or other liquids in such a way that these parts must be properly separated and stored in containers that are spill tight. This container must be placed in an environment with a sealed drainage system and impermeable surfaces. Storage for other components and residues. Other components and contaminants resulting from the treatment of WEEE will need to be contained for disposal or recovery following the removal. Where they contain dangerous chemicals, they should be contained in a weatherproof area with impermeable surfaces. To distinguish their contents, the container should be clearly labeled and must be protected so that liquids including water cannot penetrate. Balances. To measure the weight of the handled waste, TSD facilities should have balances. The goal is to ensure that WEEE entering a treatment facility in components and materials exiting its facility along with their destination can be stored in a record of weights. Repair and refurbishment. Certain treatment sites may wish to operate under the WEEE repair and refurbishment exemption. This site will integrate pre-selected WEEE and will aim to fix and refurbish as much of the WEEE as possible to have the maximum possible amount of EEE for use in the commercial or social market. Data collection. Treatment facility owners are expected to send reports of data to designated authorities. Facts about national policy regulatory framework for e-waste management in the Philippines. As early as 1990, the Philippines already has a national and regulatory framework on e-waste management, with the enactment of Republic Act 6969 or the Toxic Substances and Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act. The EMB in a statement. 2 years after the law was enacted, the implementing rules and regulation was issued under DENR Administrative Order number 1992-29. According to EMB, the Philippines through the DENR was already regulating electronics and scraps right after becoming a party to the Basel Convention on the Control of Transboundary Movements of Hazardous Waste and their disposal in 1994. Regulated under RA 6969 are waste electrical and electronic equipment, which is now considered as one of the fastest growing waste streams in the Philippines. Also in 2019, the Philippines generated a total of 32,664.41 metric tons of WEEE based on a report by EMB. For the wrap of our lesson, this module talks about the managing waste electrical and electronic equipment in the Philippines. The Philippines is a typical importer and exporter of both new and used electrical and electronic equipment, including scrap materials, as technology for commercial, industrial, household, and appliances are evolving rapidly on a global scale. The amount of waste electric and electronic equipment and hazardous substances generated from the source materials involved in manufacturing and usage. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources has established the ESM guidelines of WEEEs in recognition of the impact of these products, in part or in full, on human health and the environment. In addition, there is a vital need to address WEEE management, particularly in developing countries where the informal and unorganized sectors are attracted by the presence of valuable recyclable components. Owing to their dangerous and environmentally precarious activities, they pose great threats to health and the climate. Now, it's time to shine by sharing your own thoughts and ideas. These are blank spaces provided below so you can share it through following guide questions. Number one, would you be able to make use of this knowledge obtained in this module? In what scenario would it be? And what are the challenges you encountered in learning this module? For our valuing, read and answer the following questions carefully in 2 to 3 sentences each number. 1. What do you think are the importance of learning the managing waste electrical and electronic equipment? How will you use the knowledge you acquired about managing waste electrical and electronic equipment? Number 3. Cite a situation in which you can apply the knowledge of understanding managing waste electrical and electronic equipment. And for your task today, answer worksheet number 12. That's all for today. Happy learning!